doing something a little bit different today for this podcast. This is going to be kind of like a filler series when I can't get my girlfriend to record with me because she's really busy with school. So I figured I would take this opportunity to do a solo podcast and do it over something that I think I will be able to talk about for a long time. And what I'm going to be doing is taking some of my favorite songs or some just songs that I've known for years in general, and I want to talk about the lyrics that really stand out to me. So I think I'm just going to make the format of these types of videos just 3 songs, and I'll go over my favorite verse or lyrics, and then I'll talk about what they mean to me, and I'll talk about some lessons we can take from those, and I think that will be pretty interesting. And for the first one, we have this rapper that I came along, I don't know, a few years ago. I think it was about 5 years ago or so. His name's Connor Price. You may have heard of him. He's been an actor, and he also raps, and he is one of the quickest growing rappers that I've ever seen, and I think he's won plenty of awards and stuff like that. Speaking of awards, the song that I'm going to be quoting the lyrics from is called EGOT, E-G-O-T. That's Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. So that's all the different rewards for music and acting and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to limit myself to 3 songs, and I'm going to try to make these songs in different genres as well, because I usually just listen to rock, like specifically, like rock and metal. And I'm going to do my best not to just have all the songs in rock and metal. And that way I can kind of connect with more people and take different lessons from different genres. I think that'll be interesting. So I'll do, in this video, I'll do a rap song, I'll do a rock song, and then I'll do a country song that I have as well. So the first one, EGOT by Connor Price. The lyrics that I have are: used to hang around with some kids who had no goals, didn't ever want to grow old, we stayed still, never showed growth. Feeling like I'm on a stone road with a rowboat, had no hope. So nowadays when they see me, tell me that I've changed, I just say, I hope so. So I have been obsessed with those lyrics for years. And from the first time I was hearing the song and listening to him rap it so fast, I just absolutely lost it when I heard him say those lyrics and I understood them, and I just immediately was showing my friend who likes rap music and stuff like that, and just letting those lyrics sink in. So I'll go through them again. So used to hang around with some kids who had no goals, didn't ever want to grow old, we stayed still, never showed growth. This guy, Connor Price, is pretty young. I think he's still in his 20s, I believe, maybe around 30 or so. But when it comes to age and being this young and having that mindset where you know you want to be more, you know you have a lot of potential, and realizing that potential at such a young age is so, it's huge. It's life-changing if you really take advantage of it at that young age. And coming to the realization that you might be around people who have no goals and really are just kind of okay with staying stagnant in that, right out of high school age or right out of high school lifestyle, going to the bars and whatever the case may be. Don't ever want to grow old. They just want to keep living young. They want to keep doing the young things and just don't want to let that go and grow up a little bit. I think it can be really tricky, because once you realize and are made aware of the fact that you're in and around those people that you don't really vibe with anymore, maybe they're people that you have known and been friends with your entire life, and maybe they're really close friends, and you find out that your goals don't align with theirs anymore, and you kind of feel yourself growing apart. Not really like resenting them. It's just, it happens with everybody. You kind of just grow apart with some people. And that can be a really challenging era in life, because it's usually around that age, it's the first time that you're experiencing things like this. So you're kind of questioning, like, what is this? I've never experienced this before. And it can be kind of tough. So we stayed still, never showed growth. Feeling like I'm on a stone road with a rowboat, had no hope. I love that. This is one of the biggest reasons I wanted to do this, is because I absolutely love when people are able to take words and sentences and use them in a way that paint a perfect picture in our minds. So feeling like I'm on a stone road with a rowboat, like, just picture that. If you're in a rowboat on a stone road, you're not going to go anywhere. Trying to row on a road, it's extremely difficult. And so that just paints a perfect picture of this struggle and the feeling of hopelessness. And then at the end, he says, I had no hope. It's just perfect. It's so poetic, and it's just so clever. It really makes these lyrics stand out to me. So I think it's so cool. So right here, then he gets into saying, so nowadays, when they see me and tell me that I've changed, I just say, I hope so. You have to listen to the song, and I don't want to put the songs in here. I would love to, but then I'll get copyright, and I don't want to deal with that. But I just absolutely love the way that he raps it in the song. It makes it so much better for some reason. Just the flow of the song and the tempo, how fast he's doing it, and how just emotional he is. You can tell he means it, and you can hear the determination behind the things he's saying. I really, really like it. Just the whole song to me is an absolute gem when it comes to the lyrics. I would love to just read through this entire song, or just listen to the song. I really want to, but I will leave these songs in the description, by the way, if you want to go and watch them to really get the effect and maybe learn some new music. That'd be another good pro of me doing these videos. It's something I also wanted to do, is hopefully get people to discover new genres and new songs and new artists and stuff like that. So next up in the metal category, we have Aerials by System of a Down, another huge band, like one of the biggest bands in metal in the early 2000s, like mid 2000s or something like that. They're extremely popular. They've written a few songs that I'm sure you've probably heard by them. So the lyrics that I wanted to talk about in this one it's a very short amount of lyrics. It's just a quick line, and I think it is in the pre-chorus, I believe, but they say it several times in the song. So they say, aerials in the sky, when you lose small mind, you free your life. And that I've known this song for years, and that has just stuck with me. And this has been one of the songs that really made me want to do videos like this. So in this song, they say aerials in the sky. And I think what they mean by that is the aerial view that you can take. And then it says, when you lose small mind, you free your life. It's kind of like, get out of your head for a minute and kind of zoom out and look at the world and realize how big of a picture that you're actually living in, and realize that just the things you're seeing in your first person point of view isn't as big a deal. It's a good way of kind of saying, open your mind, open your eyes a little bit, realize that what you're going through isn't that big. When you zoom out and see everything from an aerial view, you realize we are on a floating rock and life is going to end eventually. So it's maybe free your life a little bit. Stop putting so much pressure on all the little tiny things that you're going through, every problem that you have, and just take things as more of an opportunity to learn, instead of thinking of everything as this big issue that you now have to deal with. And there's a couple lyrics I can go through. Let's see. Like a couple other lyrics, it says, "We lose ourselves, but we find it all." That's very interesting, and I relate to that one a lot because I feel like it. We did a podcast a couple weeks ago about identity crisis, and usually when you're in that kind of identity crisis situation, it's usually for most people right out of high school. You graduate high school, now you're on to doing adult things. You're experiencing things that you have never experienced before, and you're kind of like discovering new perspectives and new worldviews that maybe contradict everything that you've been told your whole life. And then you're kind of like questioning, wait a minute, what do I actually believe? Because I thought life was this way, and now I've experienced it this way, and I disagree with that. So I find that really interesting. So he says, we lose ourselves. And I think that is very interesting to think that we find it all after we lose ourselves, because we go through this identity crisis, but we kind of find who we are, and we find our own beliefs, we find our own perspectives, and we really develop our identity and our character and our beliefs and worldviews. And I think it's absolutely amazing the way that they talk about it in this song, just so casually. We lose ourselves, but we find it all. That it's so deep, but it's said so briefly and so simply and just kind of brushed off. It's just kind of like, we lose ourselves, we find it all. No big deal. Every single line in music, certain music, I'll say, definitely not all music, can be dove into to great lengths. And that is, I think, one reason I really enjoy music that makes you think, makes you question things, make you be like, oh, what does that mean? How did they mean that? Let me look into that more. What does this word even mean? I absolutely love music that can teach us things. My voice is going nuts. Yeah, so I just love music that we can learn things from. But you really have to be open-minded, which I think is interesting, because they talk about you lose small mind, you free your life. I think if you can give yourself the opportunity to open your mind a little bit, you can open yourself up to find new perspectives and new worldviews. Like I was saying, I think it's really cool how they portray this by saying aerials, like aerial views. That's really cool. So let's see. I had another one in here, like an honorable mention. We are the ones that want to play, always want to go, but you never want to stay. And then it gets into saying, we are the ones that want to choose, always want to play, but you never want to lose. And to me, that kind of speaks to how it's hard for us to get into things before we know the answers or before we have a general idea of how it's going to play out. So we never really start something if we know, or at least if we don't know for certain that we're going to have a positive outcome. So right there, it says always want to play, but you never want to lose. It's like you want to play the game. You want to be in this, but only get the benefits. You don't want the possibility for a negative outcome, but the negative outcomes are what can help you learn and get better at the game and get to those wins or those benefits or positive outcomes. So I think it's interesting they kind of call out human nature and people who want to have things figured out before they even start. And it's just kind of something we all do, isn't it? I think it's pretty interesting. Now, this has gone a lot faster than I expected, but I'm going to go ahead and do a few more songs then. I think 5, because I'm actually moving through this pretty quick. So what I'm going to do next is actually a country song. And this song, I have known it for absolute years, since I was little. And it is called Chicks Dig It by Cagle. Now, I almost guarantee you've heard this song at some point. So this song talks about it. This is what I'm saying. It paints another picture. It opens up the song. It says, "Daddy's belt, mama's drapes, standing on the backyard shed, looking cool in my Superman cape." He made a cape out of his dad's belt and his mom's drapes. Then he says, "I told the neighborhood girl, said, hey, y'all, watch this. My fate was a broken arm and my reward was one big kiss." So he's showing off for a bunch of girls out of this Superman cape. He's jumping off the top of the shed and he breaks his arm. And then after that, he says, "When daddy asked me why I did it, I made him laugh out loud when I told him because the chicks dig it." And I think that is so cool to just, I love the way he tells a story in just maybe 20 words. It's very interesting. It's very well written. But then it gets into the lyrics that I was wanting to talk about, but I just wanted to give context first. So then it gets into the chorus, which I think is really cool, that the chorus is like the main part of the song. It's supposed to be the most catchy, the most memorable part of the song, and the one that gets repeated so much. So what he says is, "Scars heal, glory fades, and all we're left with are the memories made. Pain hurts, but only for a minute. Life is short, so go on and live it, 'cause the chicks dig it." I was listening to that while I was at work cleaning pools one day. So I had my earbuds in. And I was really listening to the lyrics. Scars heal, glory fades. And I really related that to the mentality that I had as a kid without even really paying attention to it. I was always not hesitant at all to go get dirty, get hurt, do dangerous things, chase that adrenaline, just do some seriously stupid stuff at times that I could get seriously injured from. And I knew it was dangerous even when doing it. I just didn't really care, because it's kind of like, what's the worst that's going to happen, you know? And as a kid, I'm sure that we don't think of all the things that could really happen, the farther down the line consequences. It's just kind of like, I wrecked my bike, big deal. You know, it's going to hurt like hell, but get back up and either you're done for the day because you broke something, or you're just going to be scraped up and hurting while you try to continue. Or at least that's how I was. But so the scars heal. So he talks about the negative effects of doing things like that, or doing dangerous things, taking risks, living. The scars or the wounds, they heal. So the negative aspect of it goes away eventually. And then he says glory fades. Also the positive, the good parts of it fade as well. So I think it's interesting. He kind of throws both of those in there. And he says, and then all we're left with are the memories made. And that is just gorgeous. Because I couldn't tell you how many times I have been out with friends and we'll be climbing on roofs or riding bikes or scooters, and one of us would get hurt. I can't tell you how many times that happens. And all that is left is the memories. Like it's so, I feel like it's so trite and so just overused. It's like, yeah, that stuff goes away. Duh. Pain only hurts for a minute. but the memories are so strong. The memories literally are the building blocks of who you become. And I am so thankful for the memories that I made and the risks that I took, even though I got hurt a lot. I would not be the same person without all those memories from taking those risks, getting hurt. I wouldn't be the person I am without the lessons that I learned from the negative outcomes of my actions. So he's basically in this song saying, you gotta live your life. You can't, you gotta chase opportunity. And I'll talk about more of the lyrics. He gets into that in a little bit. I just think it's so, the fact that these lyrics are in the chorus is honestly kind of sad to me, because when you put it in a song, I feel like it gets overlooked. Unless you're the type of person to really dive deep into the lyrics and really pay respect to the writing of these songs, you just kind of are singing it. You're just paying attention to the music, which is understandable. But all you hear is the way that he's singing it, and you're just singing along, not really paying attention to the message. And it's like, if you just read into it a little bit, read it like a book, it's like, wow, that is really, really poetic and really wise. I like that. So then he talks about, I'll get into, he says, pain hurts, but only for a minute. Life is short, so go on and live it. I have been that way my entire life, and it's only gotten stronger. That's been my mindset since since I was in high school. I was always the one trying to find a way to make this activity more fun, and I maybe to a fault at some points, because everybody would come up with this idea and I'd be like, yeah, but how can it be better? Here's my idea. You know, maybe I make an ass out of myself sometimes, and I think about that a lot. But I think more often than not, I would try to improve or make the activity that we were doing more enjoyable, more risky, more memorable. And it, more times than not, I think it worked. And so I just keep trying to do that. So I feel like I am wasting opportunity if I have an idea come to my head and I don't offer it for more people to do. I want to, as soon as I get something in my head, I think this is part of my undiagnosed ADHD, but as soon as I get something in my head, I get fairly interruptive with people, and I'm working on it. But as soon as I get something that I'm like, ooh, I think what I have to say will add value to this conversation, and I just interrupt, and I just kind of want to get it out. I'm like, oh, I have a good story for this. Let me tell it. I have a good idea. I know what you mean. I know a better way of wording this sentence. And then I just say it, and I, once again, maybe make an ass of myself sometimes. Don't know how I got on that little sidetrack right there. So back to these lyrics. Life is short, so go on and live it. I love that. I wholeheartedly agree. And I think it's overused, but it's also so true. And then he says, because the chicks dig it. And that's where it gets interesting. He is saying it as like a joke, you know, chicks dig it, chicks dig scars, that whole thing. But there is a large bit of truth to that as well. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit just from my experience. And I was talking to my brother a little bit. He was talking to some girl, and it was like the first time he had ever actually seriously talked to a girl. And then they kind of separated, stopped talking, and he took it pretty hard. And that's where I kind of stepped in and I was like, okay, you do what you want with this information, and I'm going to tell anybody who may need this in the future or maybe going through something like this currently. If you're at any age, really, in my experience, I didn't find my partner for life. Of course, I got extremely lucky in my case to find someone so early. But when I was younger, I would obviously, as most young men do in grade school, high school, they're always chasing. They're always the one who is trying to get the girl's attention, trying to go for the females, trying to convince the girls to like them. And it's always a battle to win the girl over. And that's how I was until about 8th grade. And I was like, I don't give a shit anymore. And not because I was, defeated or I'm tired of trying. I'm tired of getting rejected. I think there is a sense of there are definite upsides to getting rejected. You learn how to take rejection. I think that's very important as a person, especially a man, to take rejection and be able to move on and continue and not let it just ruin your world. Very important. But anyways, not just because I was getting rejected or because I was, trying like hell to get a girlfriend all the time. I really wasn't. But I just kind of came to a weird conclusion where I was like, I just have different interests. I want to just go ride four-wheelers after school with my friends. I want to go hunting on the weekends. I want to go hang out with my friends, play pool, play video games, whatever. I was more along the lines of doing my own hobbies rather than constantly trying to chase something and not know if it was going to be a waste of time or not. So I was like, I'm going to try something that I know I'm going to enjoy. I know it's not going to be a waste of time. I'm just going to do that. And I didn't do it so, it's like, oh, I'm going to play hard to get. I'm just not going to give anybody any attention and then they'll come to me. It just kind of happened that way. And that sounds super cocky and that's not exactly what I mean, but I've heard too many examples of that for me not to believe it to an extent. It seems like all my friends that I was hanging out with got girlfriends out of nowhere when they weren't even looking. They weren't even really trying. It kind of just doing their own thing. And then those things led them into scenarios where they either got in a conversation with this person or started talking to this person. So if you're a young man, let's say grade school, I would say high school. High school is where it's usually important because if you're dating somebody in grade school, 95% of the time, it's not going to be who you're going to be with for life. And when I've never tried to date somebody without the intention of that person being for life. That's kind of the point of dating. That's how I always saw it. So if you're a young man, I recommend to just do the things you want to do when you're young. I think the rest will, I don't want to say fall into place, but you will come across as so much more confident if you just do your own thing and you don't try to force yourself into a relationship or seem too interested and seem like you really have to try because, and I can't speak for women, but I think it's just more attractive to see somebody who, especially at a young age, who just kind of seems like they got their shit together. And that's one big thing that young women, like around high school, they mistake confidence for competence. So they see the douchey jock in high school, the popular kid who is, he's muscular, he's good at sports, so he's confident. But I think women mistake that for competence. And then a lot of times, obviously, there are plenty of exceptions to every rule, but those guys may be the ones, and in my experience, usually are the ones to be totally helpless when they get out of high school. So in my experience, the jocks, the popular kids, were always the ones who got out of high school and were like, whoa, I guess I'm just going to either go to college and do something. I have no idea what I want to do now that I realize that high school basketball isn't that big a deal anymore. And I don't have any work experience. I have no work ethic. A lot of times they just are totally lost and are kind of just like, well, what now? And a lot of times, if you just focus on yourself and you don't get so invested in the school drama, the school sports, the popular trends that are just popular because a bunch of people are doing it and they think it's cool. I never adopted those trends. I actually kind of resented trends like that were just popular just because a lot of people thought it was cool, and I was usually able to navigate, like, I don't understand, I don't see the value in that, so I'm good. But back to young women mistaking confidence for competence. I think if you're a guy that is kind of doing his own thing, it kind of comes off as competent, kind of comes off as you know what you want. And I think that can be attractive for anybody, really. Not only does it appear that way, I think it actually does build characteristics like that, where you're a young man and let's say you just start working when you're in high school, work on the weekends and stuff. You're going to be learning skills that most other high schoolers aren't going to have because most high schoolers don't work through high school. So for me, when I get into high school, I stopped playing so many sports just because, like, for example, football is in the fall. So is all the best hunting seasons. I wanted to hunt. If I was doing sports all the time, I had no time to hunt. And that was kind of, I was like, hunting, skills that I'm going to need forever and I'm going to want to do with my own kids. High school football. No, thank you. High school football is not going to mean shit. I'm obviously not going to go and play in college, so who the hell cares? So I would like the more memory things. I would like to go and make memories, do the fun things, run around with friends. And that is what I strongly recommend for anybody out there who is, struggling to get a girlfriend or whatever. And I didn't really mean to go on that much of a tangent about getting a girlfriend, but this is what I'm saying. You can go so deep into lyrics, and I absolutely love it. So the other lyrics that I wanted to talk about are a lot lower in the song, or a lot farther in the song. I think it's like the bridge of the song. It's literally just 2 lines. He says, "Just throw caution to the wind, my friend, then sit back and watch your life begin." And then he gets back into the chorus. Scars heal, glory fades. Throw caution to the wind. that, to an extent, that is such good advice. Obviously, you don't want to be reckless. You don't want to just go and get in trouble and or do things that are going to, develop bad habits or stuff like that. You got to know your limitations, but if you're somebody who struggles to take risks at all, your limitations are not where you think they are. Let's open those doors a little bit and live a little. Take some risks that you would usually think would be the end of the world if, you got in trouble or you got hurt or something didn't go as planned. So then he says, throw caution to the wind, sit back and watch your life begin. It's so strong. It's so interesting. Because most people they go through life so cautious. And just like in the last song, Ariel's, I was talking about always want to play, but you never want to lose. You always want to have the answers before you even start. Then right here, throw caution to the wind, sit back and watch your life begin. Stop worrying about what's going to happen. Just get into it. And then if it goes wrong, figure out how to deal with it. Bam, there's more skills there. Now you can improvise more. You know how to think on your feet, which is such a good skill to have. And you can't grow it. You can't develop that skill if you don't just relax a bit and let things happen naturally instead of trying to control everything perfectly and micromanage and make everything play out perfectly in order so nothing goes wrong. Nobody has to struggle. Nobody has to make any quick decisions. Nobody has to think on their feet or react really quickly. And then he says, watch your life begin. That is so interesting to think that when you let go of the wheel a little bit, that's where life can begin. A lot of people would think that if you let go and relinquish that control, your life's going to end. It's just going to spiral. You're going to spin out and crash, and that it's not always the case. And I think people, especially nowadays, when everything is so work, progress, productivity, hurry up, get this done. We have money to make. We have so many things to do. We can't take a break. People forget to live, and myself included. We don't want to be constantly living in the future. I think what we are doing there is we are just white knuckling the steering wheel. We are gripping it so tight, trying not to lose control, because we think if we don't have control, then it's just going to spiral us into oblivion and our life is going to be over. And I think another thing that letting go of that control a little bit can do is show us some positives of how life can actually go. Make us realize that it's not going to be that bad. It's not going to just spin endlessly and we're not going to be able to get the control back. It's not going to be as bad as we expect it to be. And here's the thing that is really important. Even if it goes wrong, you can build it back up. I think we take everything so seriously that we see lack of control as just death. I feel like our brain just instantly jumps to that conclusion. Just life ends if you don't have all the answers. If you are uncertain, that means death. And I think we need to acknowledge that in our lives, or else we're going to live our life for the future, for tomorrow, and not be present in the moment. And then all we can do is look back and be like, oh shit, I was at that event. I was at that concert. I was at that, my kid's game. And I was sitting there recording it, looking through a phone, trying to save the memory. But I couldn't tell you how it felt in the moment because I was too worried about trying to savor the moment. And I have not watched that video back one time. We need to learn how to live in the moment more and stop worrying about tomorrow because tomorrow is not guaranteed ever. I could keep going down another long road in a different direction with this. But I think we're at a time where we so desperately want to have that feeling, that pleasure that we get when we're present in the moment, but we want it to sustain, but it literally can't. The reason that it feels so good in the moment, I think to an extent, is because it's not going to last forever. It's fleeting. But it's also insatiable. It's like we can't get enough. As soon as we get one thing, we want to get to the next thing that's going to bring us that same feeling. And it's always it's never as good as we think it'll be when we're planning it. Let's say you're looking forward to an event. It's always better in retrospect than it was beforehand. I think that's another thing that we can open our eyes to a little bit more. Our memories of the things that we do are going to be what we hold on for life. But you're only going to have that strong of memories if you're living in the moment while you're making those memories. If I go to a concert and I am recording the entire thing through my phone, I'm not going to have the same memories of that concert if I just put my phone down and, look to the guy next to me who is headbanging or singing every lyric and we're singing it together and I meet new people and you just look around and realize all the people that are gathered here and all the people who have been brought together by music, this art, this beautiful thing. I feel like we got to put the phones down. They are the greatest tools we've ever been given, and also the biggest. It could be the downfall of us entirely when it comes to, look at our attention span. It's almost non-existent with all the short form content, and it's just the amount of times I've seen videos of like concerts and it's just thousands, tens of thousands of flashlights of like their cameras. People just trying to experience a concert through a phone. Dude, you're there. Live in the moment. Feel the music. Feel the crowd yelling. You can't feel that by watching a video. All of this came from like 4 lines in a country song. A country song of all things. Country music, one of the most boring, straightforward versions of lyricism there is. Most country songs are about the same shit. Getting drunk, some love song that's about a girl leaving or getting over a relationship, or driving a truck. All of this, so much conversation, so many deep thoughts, so many perspectives, so many worldviews can come from paying attention to lyrics like this. And that is why I wanted to do this video. And that's why I can't wait to continue, because I already have so many more songs. And I'm glad that that last song took a little longer, because I was wanting this to be, around an hour. But yeah, I can't wait to keep talking about this. I might actually record another video just like this after this. But anyways, yeah, let me know what you thought. Let me know if you have some deep lyrics, some songs, or let me know if you have heard of these songs, or I don't know. Just let me know. I don't know. It's a good place to stop, because I have no idea what else to say.